Hello, this is Steve Geischer with another Parts Now Tech Tip. What I want to talk about today is an error code that's intermittent, kind of random here or there, 13.05 error code. You'll see this pop up on the P4015 series, so the P4014, 4015, 4515, also the M4555, which is an MFP version, right? And lastly, also our M601, 602, 603, we may be seeing it on other models in the future. And it all kind of comes down to a drive issue inside here. Symptoms that you see is I'll run 10, 20, 30, 40 sheets through it, and then just every once in a while, just boom, I got this paper jam. Pull out my toner cartridge, look inside, piece of paper laying there right in front of the fuser. Never quite gets into it. What's going on? I replaced the fuser, didn't fix it. I replaced the registration assembly, didn't fix it. Replaced the transfer ruler, the toner cartridge, didn't fix it. Well, where else do we go? Well, there's a common failure on these machines that's causing a lot of issues exactly like this, and a test that we can do to validate if things are working right or not. What we're seeing going on is there's a failure on the feeder assembly that feeds the paper into the fusing assembly. There are belts that help to drive the media in there. And the failure seems to be a gear-related issue where the belts stop moving. So as paper is going through there to get to the fuser, every once in a while a sheet will snag the belt, hesitate for a second, and when it does that, it throws the timing off. Machine goes, up, don't see paper, paper jam, stop the machine, 1305. That's what we're seeing. So how do you test for this? Because you really can't run it with the doors open and watch the belts to see if they're turning. Well, or can you? There is a way to do that, and it's using the diagnostics mode. So we're going to step through how to get into the diagnostics mode, how to set the machine up so that it thinks the door is closed and the toner cartridge is installed so I can watch the belts to see if they're turning. So let's go through that in a step-by-step. So I'm going to bring the machine up closer to you here so we can take a little bit better look at what's going on. So I'll get her centered here. And as I do that, first thing we need to do, open up our lid. We're going to take a look inside. What are we trying to figure out? Take out my toner cartridge. The failure that we're looking at here are these guys. See the belts inside there? And that feeds the paper into the fusing assembly. So it's past my transfer, all these different belts there. That's what I got to do. So I'm going to put my toner cartridge back in. And it now thinks the door is still open, but I need to create some cheaters pieces of paper here for my interlock. So my little interlock, I've got a couple pieces of paper, I wad it up, and it's going to go into the interlock here behind the display. You'll notice this little L piece on the cover. That's going to insert into this little pocket over here. And if I turn the machine a little bit, you can kind of see it. As I'm going to put one piece of paper here so it thinks the door is closed, and the other one goes here. So there's two switches in there. Aha! It now thinks the door is closed. Excellent. I wait for it to rotate, and once it's done, it says everything is good, it's ready. Now I can take the cartridge out because it's no longer going to check and see if the cartridge is in there. So I'm good. The machine thinks everything is good. Again, be careful where you put your fingers. Live machine that we've got here. I need to get to the diagnostics menu so I can start scrolling down or get into, let's see, my home button here. Excuse me. Scroll down to my menus. To get into the menus, I need to get into the administration menu. So highlight that and click on OK. Once it gets through the administration menu, I'm then going to troubleshoot way down to the bottom here to the troubleshooting menu. The troubleshooting, click on OK. And now I need to scroll down again. So administration, troubleshooting, and now I'm going to go to the diagnostics tests, as you see on the display here. I hit OK. It's booting up the diagnostics test. This is an M602 machine, by the way, in case you're wondering. And inside here, I'm going to scroll down again until I get to, gone too far here. Oops. No, I haven't gone down too far. To the component test. There we are. On the component test, hit OK. And inside there, I've got the drum motor, I've got fuser motor and pickup motor tests and some other material in here. We want the fuser motor test because the fuser motor is driving the fusing assembly, also my delivery assembly here in the back, and also my paper feeder inside here. So these belts are driven by the fuser motor. And if I test it and all is good here, and I've got my fuser motor chosen, I can now press the button and look at the belts and watch and see if they turn. So I'm going to press this. I don't know if you heard the motor turning there, but I could see the belt turning. If I hear the motor, but I don't see the belt turning, that's a clue. So one more time, taking another look at it, I press the button. If you can kind of see the belt turning inside there, a little tough to see here, but you get the concept. If I hit the fuser motor and tell it to run, those belts don't turn. That's a really strong clue that that's probably the issue that's going on. They're creating this intermittent 13.05. So what do I need to do to fix this? Well, I actually need to replace this plate here with all the belts, which is not an easy task to do. If you've ever done like a fuser drive assembly before, or a swing plate assembly in a 4200 series machine, you probably know what I'm talking about. The failure part, kind of taking a look here, is this guy. So there's the plate. I've actually pulled it out of a machine. This is what's going on with it. So paper would be feeding across the top here and feeding into my fusing assembly. What I want to look at once I get this out is along the side here. You notice the gears that I've got. So these two little gears here with the purple grease that are on them. Those gears there, that smaller one that's over there, that's the one that usually fails. A lot of times we'll see in the machine where, Steve, there's only one gear here. There's not two. That's because the small one basically disintegrated because it's rotating too fast and it's failing. So if you see one that's chewed up, or if you see that that gear is missing, well, that's the reason that my belt is not turning. Replacement of this part is what I need to do. It is challenging to get to. I've got a machine that, well, as I mentioned, I pulled it apart. So we can take a quick look at this. So I'm going to rotate this around. This is a P4015, very similar to my M602. And I've gone through and I've pulled out this power supply. The power supply goes in the back of the machine. So this is the back, this is where my fusing assembly would be. So I've got the covers off, I've got the top lid off, this is my delivery assembly up here, my fuser comes out, I've got to get the power supply out. And there's a lot that's to it. You know, formatter needs to come out, cables need to be pushed inside, different cables and different screws need to come out. If you've never done this before, first time you do it, it's not going to be a whole lot of fun. And I should also mention, we don't have time to go through this step by step to do this. So what do? Well, you can go to our website, partsnow.com, pull down the service manual for this, and it will take you step by step on how to get to this part, and also to how to remove this part. First time you do it, you're not going to like it, but if you've got several machines that are having this issue, it's going to be worth the time to do that. And second machine is going to be easier. Third machine, you're going to go, I can do this. This isn't hard. Just follow through the manuals, take it apart, put it back together again, you'll be good. And all should be good from there. So talking again about our error code 13.05, it's an intermittent type of random error, hits every 10, 20, 30, 40 pages, just enough to be really annoying and you can't figure out why it's stopping right before the fuser. Check the belts. What type of, how am I checking the belts? Interlock switches, pull my toner cartridge, right? And then I'm getting into the component test, the diagnostics test, I should say, and then the component test, all the way down to the motor test there, where I can actually watch the belt turn or not turn and verify what's going on. So hopefully this has been helpful. And with that, this is Steve Geichert with another Parts Now Tech Tip.